Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Off the Shelf. I am your host, Ronan Time HD, and this week, what we found off the shelf was...
If I'm there and I gotta put you away, I won't like it. But I'll tell you, you are going down.
What if you do got me boxed in, and I gotta put you down? Because no matter what, you will not get in my way. I will not hesitate for a second.
Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer in a Michael Mann film.
Heat, released in 1995, directed and written by Michael Mann. It is a action crime thriller. It is starring, okay, bear with me here, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer, Jon Voight, Ashley Judd, Kevin Gage, Natalie Portman, Danny Trejo, William Finkton. I think that's all that I can name off the top of my head. There is a lot of people in this movie. It is quite the ensemble, quite a big and very recognizable cast. While some of them have bigger roles than others, they all serve their own role in the story. And while I will say, getting to the story, I do think the main hook of the film is obviously the first time that these two legendary actors, Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, meeting in a film for the first time. I guess, unfortunately, they do only have two scenes together in the film where they interact. And it's like for 2 seconds at the end of the film, and they admittedly have probably the best scene in the movie at a diner, where it's basically just like a kind of character deconstruction of both of them, right? Kind of them both displaying their philosophies and the way they do things, right? And it's a very good scene, and I think De Niro and Pacino just really bounce off each other really well. I just think they have a really good chemistry, and I kind of wish they had more movies. I mean, do they have more movies that I don't know about? Leave down in the comments if you know that, even though I probably should know. They're Al Pacino and Robert De Niro. However, I will say, obviously, I think the best parts of the film is the direction, the story, the cat and mouse of Pacino and De Niro. I do think the rest of the film, like the subplots and the way they intertwined with the main overarching story, was very well done as well. I very much enjoyed the fact that while De Niro was a bad guy, right, he was a bank robber, a killer, I wouldn't say he was the worst guy in the movie. I'd say he was pretty fair compared to the other guys. There was literally a serial killing, like, kind of pedo-Nazi in the movie. So, De Niro isn't any of those things. I mean, he may be a killer, but he ain't those other two things, that's for sure. Either way, I do think, though, one thing I really liked about the film is that they kind of... really, as I said, I like the subplots and how they intertwined. I really like the fact that if it wasn't for the stupid Nazi guy, they hadn't hired the fucking amateur stupid Nazi guy, none of it would have happened. Because the movie opened with them doing a heist. They stopped an ambulance in the middle of the road to ambush a bank security van so they could fucking ram into it and blow open the door and take, like, a package of money, right? Like, bonds and stuff. But they didn't plan on killing anyone, because killing people is a lot of baggage, right? That might get more heat on you. It will get more heat on you. So originally, they weren't going to kill the guards. They were just going to let them go, because if they hadn't killed them, then obviously it would have gotten heat from the cops, but it wouldn't have been that major, because nobody was hurt in that sense. But, of course, the fucking Nazi killed one of them for no good reason, really, at all. I think he just did it because he was insane and he just wanted to kill somebody, right? And they're like, well, we killed one of them, we can't leave any witnesses, so they killed the rest of them. And then the whole movie sprung into motion. And it was just kind of a domino effect of everything falling apart. which most crime movies are. I don't think I can think of many crime movies with a happy ending, right? Or at least crime dramas or thrillers. Can't really think of ones with happy endings. But I do think that I really like, especially, I guess, maybe the build-up. You know, there's a lot of build-up to certain moments in the movie. Like, you know, in the bank robbery scene, which I think is probably the most iconic scene, which is the shootout in the street outside the bank. I think that's obviously the most iconic due to, I've heard people say, and now correct me if I'm wrong, I've heard people say it is the most influential shootout in film history. It really influenced a lot of films in its genre. And I can see why. The shootout was very well executed. I think it was very intense, right? Because you weren't even done with the movie. I guarantee if you were watching this if I saw this in the theater back in 1995, which I couldn't have, because I didn't exist. But if I did exist in 1995 and I was watching this in the theater, I'd be like on the edge of my seat, like, holy shit, is this the end of the movie? Are they going to die here? Right? And it's like, I think if I had watched this without knowing the film was almost 3 hours long, I would have thought that would have been the end of the movie, because it kind of feels like it would be, right? Like, Al Pacino has them cornered, like, surrounded. They have nowhere to go. You'd think they would just, like, die in a blaze of glory. Tom Sizemore does, but Val Kilmer and De Niro get away for that time being. And I just think, though, like, I love at the end of, like, every small gunfight in that long action scene, they would always kind of show a small glimpse of the chaos that all of it is, like, all the madness it's wreaked, right? Like, it'll show the bullet holes in buildings, or the destroyed cars and the dead bodies, right? The casings on the floor. It's a very nice representation of how fucked everything was, right? And it's not even like Pacino everything was going to plan, because innocent people were getting, like, caught in the crossfire. Innocent people were being put in danger because, I mean, they kind of both fucked up, right? And it was just, like, skin of their teeth, I guess. And I think, obviously, then it led to, so Van Zant in this film, he was, like, I think a side villain. And I think, obviously, the villains, like, the Nazi guy and Van Zant, they weren't really, like, central focuses. Obviously, the central focus was the conflict and the cat and mouse chase between Pacino and De Niro. They were, like, the main focus. So Van Zant, I think, was a decent villain for what he was. And I think my favorite scene with him was probably his death scene, because De Niro, when he confronts him, like, no hesitation, he basically kind of just instantly shoots him after Van Zant realizes what's going on. He barely has any time to register it, and then De Niro just bang, bang, bang shoots him, which is good, right? I always hate it when in movies, like, the hero takes forever to kill the villain, right? There's a bunch of hesitation. It's like, why are you hesitating? They're the villain, right? Fucking take him out. You have the chance, right? And he had his chance and he took it, right? He no fucking hesitation. And one thing I like about the Nazi, I don't like the Nazi. One thing I like about his death, I should have elaborated on that. Well, I should have elaborated on that. One thing I like about his death is that De Niro, I feel like, kind of revels in it a little bit more, you know, because it's a little more personal. With Van Zant, it was a little personal, but it was also kind of like, you know, business, right? He had unfinished business with Van Zant, made it, like, pretty quick. With the Nazi, he was like, he kind of, like, enjoyed it a little bit. He's like, look at me. Like, he wanted him to look at him before he killed him to realize what was going on. Then he killed him. Which I thought was good, because obviously he was probably the most evil character in the movie. I mean, he got a 16-year-old prostitute and then murdered her and did things. Not a great guy, and his death was very satisfying. And I think also the final chase scene between Pacino and De Niro was also very well done. I also really liked a callback, or I guess a bit of foreshadowing back in the diner scene between De Niro and Pacino. Really their only one-on-one conversation in the film. He talks about how Pacino doesn't get attachments, right? He doesn't want to get attachments because it's, in his line of work, it's like basically a bad idea. So basically, De Niro was saying, if you're attached to something, you want to stay, right? But in a line of work that he's in, you're going to be running all the time, right? But if you're attached to something, you want to stay. But he got attached to this girl. He really liked this girl. And originally he was going to run away with her. He was going to get off the grid. He was going to go free. But he just couldn't let it go. He had to finish off the Nazi guy. So essentially, I really liked the foreshadowing in the diner scene where Pacino and De Niro had their only like real one-on-one conversation in the film. And so they were talking about how De Niro had this philosophy that you don't get any like long-term or really any attachments when you go somewhere because of his line of work. You have to be able to run quick. And if you have attachments, you'll stay in one place. And Pacino basically asked him, so if you get an attachment, if you like this girl, if you see me coming around the corner, you're just going to run without saying goodbye? And he said, like, he basically said, yeah, essentially, that's what I'll do. And at the end of the film, when he is going to get in the car with this girl, with the girl that he likes, he sees Al Pacino come around the corner, and he runs. And he does what he said he was going to do earlier, and I like that bit of foreshadowing. I also like how it kind of foreshadows his death as well. I do really like the final scene of the film with the, what were they, like, power boxes? What were they, like, I don't know. They were big cubes on an airport. I don't know what they're called. I don't know the lingo. But it was a cool set piece for the final scene of the film. Essentially, it was just luck. So they both didn't know where they were. And De Niro was hiding behind one of these cube things. Or, like, whatever they were. And he was hiding behind it. And Pacino was looking for him. And it was basically whoever pops out first, and whoever gets the first shot wins. You know. And De Niro tried, but of course Al Pacino saw his shadow, and if the lights hadn't come on when he jumped forward, maybe De Niro would have gotten the shot and he maybe would have killed Pacino, but he didn't, and Pacino shot De Niro, and even in their final moments, they kind of showed not their final moments, in De Niro's final moments, his character, I believe his name was Neil, I think that was his name, right? His name was Neil. In Neil's final moments, they both kind of showed respect for each other, because they kind of did. You know, I believe one of the people who made the film, he said that it's kind of like two boxers in a ring, right? They kind of understand something within each other that nobody else does, you know, the kind of competitiveness of it, but also the respect at the same time. It's that kind of thing, and I thought that was a very good way of putting it. But I don't want to ramble all day here. Overall, I just think probably the strongest aspect of this film were the characters of Hannah and Neil, Pacino and De Niro's characters. And I really believe that is the film's strongest suit. Although that is not the film's only strong suit, I do think it is the big highlight of the film. And with that being said, I think before I start going off the rails, I think I should just get to the conclusions. And would I recommend this film? Absolutely I recommend this film. Obviously, it is nearly 3 hours long, so might have to take some time out of your day to watch it. But I think if you can, it is a very enjoyable watch, and it is just a very, very, very good film that I would highly recommend under that. And what would I rate this movie, Ronin Time HD? You didn't ask, but I will still answer anyway. This film, I believe, is a 8.5 out of 10. And, yeah, I think I've said what I need to say. Think of some piece. So, guys, I hope y'all like this video. Share, friends, subscribe, turn those notifications on, comment down below if y'all liked it. And I'm Time HD off. To pull a score? Sure. Yeah, that works, yeah. I'm going to pull a score, or do I do a score? Plan a score? Commit a score? So actually, there was a scene in this movie that I actually knew was in this movie, and it was the Al Pacino made me say, she's got a great ass! And that was fun, because Pacino was just absolutely... He wasn't super insane in this movie, but he did have, like, a lot of intensity, right? That's what Pacino's known for, is his intensity in his performances. And that did come out. I think, obviously, his most ridiculous bit of intensity was that scene, because he's like, you know, when I think of a woman's ass, something's coming out of me. It's like, okay, I don't know if that was necessary. But I guess it added to the scene a little bit because it was entertaining. I don't know. It's Al Pacino, so I guess I like it anyway. She's got a great ass. It's like he was gonna say big, and then he changed his mind halfway through and he said great ass. It sounds like he improvised that a little bit. He probably didn't, but it really sounded like that.